there are times when I wish I'd never written the Maximum Weight Loss book.
Hello everybody, this is Ryan over at High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share the video if it does you any good. Let's get into this. So a topic that I subscribe, or not subscribe, I follow a lot of, well, I guess it depends on what platform you're on, but on YouTube and Instagram, I follow, subscribe, whatever, a lot of vegans. And one of the most common topics I've been seeing lately is this night binging or midnight cravings, food cravings, whatever, at night. And I wanted to talk about this because the largest population that I'm seeing this in is the 50-50 platers. I still follow them. I still watch them in agony almost, because I remember going through that, and it's just such, I don't understand. Like, if you read the STARCH solution, the 50-50 plate is such a small portion of the book, and everybody is adopting this model. And even people that myself and people that have been on my channel commenting, whether they're still here or been here over the year, or like not even year that I've been doing this, have told me how horrible they felt on the 50-50 plate. And I reach out to these people, and they defend the 50-50 plate like crazy because they're probably making money off the thing. What happens is you're not eating enough. It's not like the body is like thinking, well, yesterday I gave this person an itch they couldn't describe. The day before that, I made their foot hurt. Today, I'm going to give them cravings. As soon as 11 o'clock at night hits, I'm going to give them cravings. They are going to have cravings like you would not believe. And why am I doing it? For the hell of it. Just for the hell of it. I have no reason for doing this. I'm just going to sabotage this person, make them hungry at 11 o'clock, so they got to eat. And then they're going to feel bad about themselves. This is why I'm doing it. This is why your body's thinking this, right? Self-sabotage. Got to eat 11 o'clock. I'm not really hungry, but I am hungry. And this is what these people act like. This is what people who have this act like. Like the body's like clueless, right? Hasn't made it thousands, millions, whatever years, not your body, but the body. And it doesn't know what it's doing. This is what people act like. This is what you see on these videos. And I feel bad and like kind of like questioning this at the same time. It's there for a reason. And the reason is, and I'm suspecting the reason is, most of these people eat the typical cauliflower or broccoli, like quarter, three-quarter, and like a sweet potato for breakfast. And this is how they start off their day. And then they eat maybe a little bit more for lunch. And then they get to dinner and they have a little bit more, maybe. But it all adds up to not being enough for the day. And this is a problem, and this is why you get these binges or cravings, or the night cravings. And then you got these people talking about, well, I just watch my favorite TV show and I don't eat, or I bounce on a trampoline and don't eat. I play video games all night, and the video games, or especially if you get on the multiplayer ones online and something, like you're typing to people and all this, and it keeps you distracted, and you're like, oh, I don't eat. I'm losing weight like crazy, bro, but I'm always hungry. And a lot of the times when you go through this, a lot of the times when you have cravings like this, you cannot sleep. And you don't really have energy. And this is when you see these people having a lot of coffee and other stimulants, or teas and all these different concoctions that get them to the point where they don't need to eat anymore, but they are starving themselves. So if they actually did the starch solution in and of itself, which is like 90% starch and a little bit, and like garnishing, like he said, like McDougall before this last year used to always talk about this, even within I'm going to say actually McDougall within the last 6 months all of a sudden became a sugar phobe, even more than like he didn't used to be. If you watch some of his old videos, and he was just as slender then.
Now here's the rest of your order. okay, maybe I did order a little too much. But you know, even if I ate all this, it's not going to do me any harm. If you're not a vegetarian, I'd like you to try eating like one for just one evening. I guarantee you're going to feel better. I'd like to thank Sizzler for their cooperation in this segment.
He used to tell you it didn't matter. Like if you eat more than you can use, you just burn it off as heat. I've shown these videos. They're not hard to find. And they're kind of fun to watch because of any of us 80s kids or whatever. It looks like an old VCR tape. And for me, that brings back memories of my childhood. I don't know about anybody of you, even if you were around in the 90s. Anyway, it's not the point of the point of the video is he was talking about eating 90% starch. I even showed a video of him saying this in a thing, I believe, this year.
Get that starch intake up to around 90% on the plate. Not just the calories, but you got to look at that plate. You got to go, yep, that's about 90% potatoes or sweet potatoes.
That he, and I know I've shown several videos, but I've had to take some of these things down because certain people were in it and certain people like to give you copyright strikes. I had to take the videos down. Maybe I'll do one just McDougal because I don't think he's like that. But he's talked about 90% starch and having a little bit of vegetables as a garnishment, not the main or half of the meal. And what is happening here is you are starving yourself out. You can't, it's something like 20 pounds of vegetables, like non-starchy vegetables. I'm not talking about potatoes. Like 20 pounds of non-starchy vegetables to get 2,000 calories into you. You can't even process that. You can't do it. It's not possible. Unless you're another animal. And you're not another animal if you're watching this probably. Unless dogs or cats are watching this, but I don't think it really pertains. So you've really got to take this into account. If you are hungry at night, if you were ravenous at night, it's happening for a reason. It's not just some random thing that's happening to you. You're being victimized by cravings of your body. If you were eating the 50-50 plate and if you are having these cravings at night, try switching it up. And definitely start off the day with more calories. Top or bottom load the day, basically. So form a pyramid. You should be having, if you can, if it's possible. I know lunches are tricky, especially if you go to a regular job. Lunches can be tricky. I've been there. It's hard to bring the stuff. It's hard to keep the stuff. Where do you keep it? If there's no refrigerator on site, what do you get? I get it. So lunches are rough. So start off your day with as much calories as you can possibly get down without throwing up, obviously. And then notice how many hours in that day that you're actually full. Like if you actually eat the amount of food that you possibly should, not eating like a potato and 5 pounds of broccoli. That's not it. That's not what I'm talking about. If you look at the Irish, like McDougal references the Irish quite a bit. If you look at the Irish, they used to eat 2 or 3 times and it would be a lot of potatoes. A lot of potatoes. I'm talking, when I did the research, it was between 10 and 13 pounds of potatoes a day for males. And it was 8 to 10 pounds a day of potatoes for females. That's a lot of potatoes. And I did even more research into it. Now, a lot of these dudes ate a lot of, creams and beefs and stuff like that. But if you look at the miners, if you look at the people who were underground doing whatever, like a lot of the miners and the gold rush and all, those, loggers and stuff like that, those people average eating 18 to 20 pounds of food a day. Now, you're probably not doing that kind of work, but just put this into perspective. And they weren't just eating broccoli and starting off the day with broccoli. And I mean, you should read some of the diets. I mean, there was a lot of potatoes involved, but there was like a meat and potatoes kind of thing. I'm not going to say that these dudes were vegan, but I am going to say 18 pounds of food in a day to get through the day. Okay. So just put this stuff into perspective on how much people actually eat. Now, I'm not talking about pencil pushers or whatever they call them at the desk. Keyboard warriors. You probably don't need that much. But think about how much food people have eaten over the years to get different things accomplished, and then put that in perspective. And they weren't eating broccoli, unless you're in the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma, Texas, in the 30s, 1930s. So if you're not there, if you're in modern day, and the stress load that we have in this day and time is significantly more even than in the Dust Bowl or the Great Depression. Not saying that they didn't have a lot of the mental anguish that we go through, but the stress load that we have in modern day is so high, even though it's supposed to be this utopia, right? Machines are doing everything for us. This is not the case. So this takes a load on the body, and it needs more calories. You need, it's amazing how many calories the brain actually needs to operate. So take this into account. If you are having, and like I said several times in this video, it's very simple. If you are having these cravings, if these cravings are attacking you at night, the craving boogeyman is coming out and attacking you at 11 o'clock at night. Chances are it's happening for a very good reason. And the reason is that you didn't eat enough in that day. And just take this and change your diet and see if you still have that. I know a lot of raw vegan and vegan people that I know, they actually stop eating at 6, 7 o'clock at night. And they're not hungry the rest of the day because they ate enough calories during their waking hours, and then the body doesn't need anything else. If your body is asking for calories, it's doing it for a reason. You didn't eat enough that day. And yeah, you might be losing weight, but you're starving yourself, and you're going to pay. And what happens is your thyroid sees that you're not eating enough carbohydrates, and it starts lower and lower and lower and lower, and you got to keep eating lower. So you got to replace everything that you're eating with broccoli and cauliflower, and then getting your energy from stimulants. And this is what happens. This is what you see on this 50-50 plate, especially when people finally lose the weight.
There are times when I wish I'd never written the Maximum Weight Loss book, what they call nutrient dense diets. And they try and get you to survive on these very low calorie foods like broccoli and cauliflower and lettuce and celery and so on. And very quickly you give up and you say this is unsustainable. Well, it is unsustainable. You must have the starch as the center part of your meal. And when people ask, well, how much? My answer is, well, look at your plate. And about 90% of what you see should be starch, like corn and potatoes and so on.
I just don't know how you do anything athletically, but I know that a lot of people aren't terribly athletic, on the 50-50 plate. But anyway, if you're having cravings, they're not there for the hell of it. They're there for a reason. So I suggest bottom loading your day. Don't start off with this 50-50 plate thing. I think it's an absolute waste of your time and waste of money, but that's just me. Anyways, look into this. There's a reason for you having these cravings. Thanks for watching. If you got any comments, questions, leave them down below like always. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.